Hello, my name is Matt Broski, and today I'll be interviewing Christine Broski. She is my mother. How are you doing today?
I am doing well, son. How are you?
Not bad. So obviously you are my mother, but I know a little bit of it. But how was your childhood growing up?
My childhood was good. I was fortunate in that I was the youngest of five children. So by the time they got to me, um, I would say that I was probably a spoiled child. I got to participate in a lot of sports from an early age, and so that kept me busy. Um, I was always playing sports, particularly tennis. I started tennis when I was about 10 or 11 years old. My mom kept me busy in music classes and dance classes and things like that. I went to a Catholic school for the first 9 years of my education. And then I went to a public high school and I participated in multiple sports from there. And then I went to Bowling Green State University for college and graduated with a management information systems degree. Um, as far as the rest of my childhood, we had a lot of family gatherings. We had continual Sunday dinners every week. We always had dinner at our house. And since my brothers and sisters were older, they were all married and having children by the time I was 9, 10 years old. So I had nieces and nephews coming over consistently. I babysat my nieces and nephews a lot because of the age difference that there was. And like I said, we did a lot of family things. The bad part was my father passed away when I was 16, when I was in high school. So that was a bit of a rough patch. But that had partly to do with the fact that he was much older. So,
So what was your favorite thing to do with your father before he passed away?
I would say so with the three older children, my three older brothers and sisters in the family, they didn't travel much. And then the brother closest to me, 3 years older, by the time they got to us, parents being a little older, were able to travel more. And my dad loved to drive. So we would drive everywhere. And that was enjoyable. I liked driving with my father. And he was a very social person, a very robust. He loved to talk to everybody. He loved to joke around with the waitresses at the restaurants, and yes, it was just fun doing things like that with him. We fished a lot. We camped. When I started playing competitive tennis, he would watch from afar because he wasn't able to be that close to watch. But yeah, just hanging out with him. A lot of the traveling, that was a good thing.
Where was your favorite place that you traveled with him or with your family?
Um, Again, I was a lot younger, so I don't recall. There are some stories of when we went to Washington, D.C. So that was fun. I may or may not have gone under the rope at the changing of the guards. So apparently that was not a good thing. We traveled to Florida. One trip in particular, we were going to be driving out west, and we didn't get very far because we had tire trouble. So we turned around and came back. So I wouldn't say there was one particular place, but
It was
but
just the stories that went along.
correct.
So with that, you had obviously when you were a child, what was some dreams that you wanted to be when you grew up?
Well, I would say with playing competitive tennis at such a young age, I was hoping to maybe become a professional tennis player. things. The tennis is a little bit different in that is particularly when I started playing, I would probably call it a rich man sport, if you will. I did get to play a lot of tennis, but I didn't have a lot of instruction because we couldn't really afford the tennis lessons on a consistent basis. But I played a lot of tournaments and I won a lot of tournaments. But then once I got into high school, I started developing some injuries with my back and with my neck. And that kind of ended that career or that dream, unfortunately.
So you said that you wanted to become a tennis player. Who was your like favorite tennis player growing up at?
I could absolutely tell you that it was Chris Evert.
Any
She
reason why?
was just because I think that I played very similar to her, and she was a very calm, classy person to watch on the tennis tour. And yeah, so I probably would say that's the reason why.
So you said earlier that you babysat when you were growing up. What was
Yes.
your, like a first official job as?
My first official job was actually in college. I worked at a restaurant called Casey's. It was very similar to a Wendy's today. And I didn't get a job while I was in high school for a couple of reasons. Again, with my father passing away when I was about working age, I had to start attending college courses while I was in high school. So I didn't have a lot of time for a job. So then and then as well as with playing tennis. But then when I went to college, that was my first official job.
How was it there? You said it was like Wendy's. Do you think you could work at Wendy's if you were growing up now?
No, I was not a big fan of being a fast food worker. I mean, I enjoyed, there was other college students that worked there, so we had a good time. But it was a job, and it helped out a little bit of paycheck. So it wasn't horrible.
Did you or your friends, or mostly your friends, do other jobs that you're intrigued at when they first started getting jobs that you didn't do or couldn't do?
I would say that in hindsight, I mean, a lot of the people I knew, they worked in like the cafeteria at the college. I wasn't really interested in doing that, but maybe more of a on the sports end, maybe I could have got involved in that. There were some, undergrad coaches or, assistants, they would help out with some of the sports. So maybe I would have liked to do that a little better.
So what did you get your degree in?
My degree was in management information systems. And the best way I can describe it is a computer science degree within the business college, the College of Business. So I had a lot of computer classes, and they were all programming related. And then when I got my first job, or when I worked, it was as a computer programmer.
So with the computer program, did you have any workplace conflicts at there or any place when you had your career starting, or?
My first job, I worked at RITA, which is a regional income tax agency. I was only there for about a year. I would say there was no conflicts there. I then went to work for a lady privately out of her house. And then she got bought out, her little company got bought out by a accounting firm. And then I was only there again about a year or so, and then I went to a bigger accounting firm. I would say there wasn't really many conflicts. I had no problems with anybody. The only conflict that I saw there was another woman who was at a lower level than me, that worked for the same boss as I did, and he would consistently help her out a lot more than I felt that should occur. And so there was a little bit of conflict there. But he always left me alone because I knew what I was doing, and pretty much she didn't. But it was a minor conflict. We never really had, any major issues.
So you said you worked at a big accounting firm and then two little businesses. Do you
Yes.
see the difference in those from the work day-to-day basis?
Yes, well, working for a woman out of her house, it was a little bit different because I would go travel to clients that she had, and I would go into their facilities and write programs for them. But working at a big accounting firm, I was just basically the worker bee, or the person writing the code in the office or supporting, and never really having to go out to clients. So that was probably the biggest difference.
So you have done a lot of different things growing up, and now you are a stay-at-home mom, correct?
Correct.
Quote unquote.
Yes.
But what is your view on life, and has it ever changed over time?
I would say it has changed. Things are so different now. I see in the education forum, particularly, that I would see it being very difficult as a teacher now, with the discipline. That's, I think, the biggest change. I mean, growing up, there was no concern over discipline. I never experienced it, but people would get swatted and things in high school. But nowadays, things like that can't occur, and people are ready to sue over the smallest thing. So I think that's one of the biggest things in the world that I see, that people, especially younger kids and sometimes adults, aren't held accountable for their actions. And they're very quickly to blame other people instead of taking responsibility for their own actions.
Sometimes you see that, but I think from all your experience, it really showed that you know a good amount what you did at your accounting firms and all of that stuff. But I liked how you talked about everything firmly and stuff. And thank you for your time today. And hopefully we can do this again eventually.
You are welcome. I hope that this has helped and is good for your project.
All right. Thank you.
Okay,
Bye.
thank you. Bye-bye.